Hello class, this is a chance for us to go over problems 13 through 16, and they're word problems. I'm going to do a couple of each and try to keep this short. So 13 through 16. On number 13, from a boat on a lake. So here's a lake, here's a boat, and there's a cliff. Alright, the angle of elevation from the boat to the top of the cliff is given as 25 degrees 24 minutes, and the base of the cliff is 1183 feet. From the boat, how high is the cliff? So the angle is related by the opposite side and the adjacent side, so we're going to use tangent. And we can just put into our calculators 25 degrees 24 minutes, and that should equal the opposite side that's unknown over 1183. We simply cross multiply, and the answer should be whatever 1183 times the tangent of 25 degrees 24 minutes is. The answer I get is 562 feet. On the next problem, we're flying a kite, and the kite makes an angle of 65.2 degrees on 510 feet of string. So again, we're going to draw 510 feet of string. The angle is 65.2 degrees, and they want to find out how high the kite is to the nearest foot. So that would be h. So this ratio would be a sine ratio because it deals with the opposite over the hypotenuse. So sine of 65.2 is equal to the h, the height of the kite, over the hypotenuse. We cross multiply. And the answer we get is 463 feet, the nearest foot. On the next one, we have a problem where a blimp is 1,800 meters high in the air, and it measures angle of depression to two stadiums west of the blimp. So the blimp is up in the air, and to the west it measures angle of depressions to two stadiums. And the angles of depression are, the first one is 65 degrees, 68.5 degrees, and the second one is 23.5 degrees. If the blimp is 1,800 feet off the ground, how far apart are the two stadiums? So hopefully you could see that this is the value we'd like to find. In doing this problem, we first want to figure out what the distance from the blimp along the ground is to the first stadium. So we would draw this triangle, and this angle is the angle of depression of 68.5, which means that the angle of elevation from the stadium to the blimp is 68.5 on the inside, and our height is 1,800 feet. We use the tangent ratio of 68.5, and that equals 1,800 over y. And by cross multiplying, we could set the equation up to be 1,800 divided by the tangent of 68.5. Y then equals 709 feet. And now we're going to do the same thing for the other triangle, where the angle of depression was 23.5. So the angle inside the triangle is 23.5. Here's our 1800 feet, but now this time the dimension on the bottom is x plus y. So we'll solve for that the same way. The tangent of 23.5 is equal to 1800 over x plus y. We cross multiply. X plus y is equal to 1800 over the tangent of 23.5. And we get the quantity of x plus y is got to equal 4,139, actually 40 feet if we round to the nearest foot. So now what does y equal? Well, before we knew that y, we solved for that to be 709 feet. And x plus y equaled 4140. So that means that x must equal 4140 minus the 709 feet. And that turns out to be 3,431 feet. And that would be choice C. Okay, I'm going to just clean up this information that's on. So if you need to see this calculation that we did here, just pause the video. But in the next frame, I'm going to delete what we worked on and start working on the hiking problem. So now we have a hiking problem, and it says that we're trying to determine from my current position how far away the nearest cabin is, which happens to be due north. Well, if I'm here and the cabin is here, due north, and a friend of mine walks, a partner of mine walks 180 yards to the west. So that means that we're at right angles to each other. And they sight the cabin. And it says, from my position, it takes a bearing of the cabin to be north 26 east. So that means basically from the north heading, 26 degrees to the east. Well, that's not right. I think I had this picture backwards. Let me try again. My partner walked to the west, so that would be that way. Okay, so be careful with that one. They sight the cabin, and north 26.2 east gives me an angle on the inside of, because of alternate interior angles, this angle at the top would be 26.2 degrees. Remember that they walked 180 yards to the west, and we want to figure out how far away is the cabin. So we would use, using this angle, we would use tangent. The opposite over the adjacent, and now I cross multiply to solve for the distance from the cabin. And now I can solve for it. And after using the calculator, I found that the distance is 366 yards, and that would be choice D. I hope this has helped you working on these problems for doing right triangle trig, and the next set will be problems 17 through 20.